Good morning, friends. It's such a joy to be with you once again. Welcome to Daily Dose of Jesus. In John chapter 7, we are seeing that Jesus is now traveling extensively, doing miracles, signs, and wonders, preaching the gospel, bringing people into his kingdom. But he is avoiding going to Judea because the religious leaders, the Jewish leaders, are planning to kill him. So he stays back. Now there's a Feast of Tabernacles happening in Judea, and his half brothers, are going there to celebrate the feast, and they are asking Jesus to come with them. But Jesus is avoiding going there. And now his brothers are pushing him, saying, Jesus, you've been doing miracles, signs, and wonders here in the local community and elsewhere. But if you do it here in Judea at the time of festival, there'll be a lot of people and you'll become popular and famous. And then the word will spread quickly. But Jesus turns around and tells his brothers, my time has not yet come. And he says, but any time is suitable opportunity for you to gain man's approval. Basically, Jesus is saying, my time has not yet come. Any time is suitable to get man's approval. But to do the will of God, to do what God has called you to do in God's timing, does not require man's approval. All you need is God's approval. Here Jesus could have gone ahead and done miracles, signs, and wonders, become popular, but it is not God's time. And even if he had gone before God's time, the Jewish leader would have arrested them and arrested Jesus and crucified him before time. But Jesus knew exactly at what time, in what season, in what day he needs to be crucified. Jesus was in absolute control, and he knows the timing of God. My friend, the lesson that we can learn from Jesus is have a communion and a relationship with God, and God will begin to reveal you the time, the season, for you to do the things that he has called you to do. It could be the timing for that job that you're looking for. It could be the timing for that ministry that you want to do. It's the timing that is needed for you to do that business in that particular point of time. But it comes through the wisdom of God. It comes through the revelation that you receive from God. Jesus was in constant communion with the Father, and he said, I do what I see my Father do. Jesus could not be pushed around by his mother or his brother or his disciple or even Satan. Satan sometimes works through people to push you, to get you out of his plan and his purpose, to get you, to bring you out of God's plans and purposes. We see in Cana of Galilee where Jesus turns water into wine. His mother comes and asks him to do a miracle. Jesus says, my time has not yet come. But then when the time arrived, he did do the miracle. Here again we see that his brothers are pushing him to do something which is not his time. But later on, Jesus does go to the feast and he preaches boldly. And the Jewish leader cannot do anything. The Bible says they couldn't do much, because Jesus was standing there in his time, in Father's appointed time. See, when you step into your calling, step into things that God has called you to do in his time, nobody can do anything against you. You enemies can try and do something, but they cannot touch you because you are there in God's appointed time. But if you step into anything in your own time, you will face some difficulties because you're not there in God's time. Because God knows well at what point of time you're ready for the work that he has called you to do, the job that he has called you to take, the business that he has called you to do, and so many other things in your life. Always find God's timing, God's purpose, God's season, and then step into that. Because that's what Jesus always practiced in his ministry and his life on earth. He knew that he has to be crucified, die on the cross, die as a sacrifice for us. But now is not the time. It was at a later point of time, in the appointed time by the Father. So he didn't do anything, before time, but he always did it on God's timing. And that's why he was able to do the ministry for 3 years and then submitted himself willingly, because he knew that was the time of the Father. He gave himself to be crucified at the time appointed by his Father, not in the time what people thought about. Nobody could push Jesus around. My friend, my encouragement for you this morning is, don't get pushed around by your friends or family or your mentor or by anybody else until you know the timing of God. If you know God's timing, you will rest and you will step into that season in His time. Even there will be peace and joy in your life, because you know you're not missing out on anything, because you know God's timing is somewhere in the future. You know God's timing is a week ahead or months ahead. So you will stay and rest and plan and then step into that place that God has called you to do. May the Lord bless you, and always work with God. Pray and receive a revelation of your timing for the things that you're called to do, and then step in at God's timing. You will see success, you will see elevation, you will see blessing, and the name of the Lord will be glorified. God bless you. Bye-bye.